Hello and welcome. Today we are going to tackle one of the most common and, let's be honest, frustrating skin concerns out there, blackheads. We're going to break down what they are, the absolute best ways to treat them, and of course, how to keep them from coming back. It's all based on expert advice, so let's just dive right in. You know, this quote probably hits a little too close to home for a lot of us. If you've ever had that moment looking in the mirror, just know you are definitely not alone. But don't worry, you are in the right place. We are about to clear this whole thing up. So first things first, before we can even talk about getting rid of them, we've got to understand what we're actually up against. What even is a blackhead, really? At its core, it's actually pretty simple. A blackhead is just a clogged pore that's come up to the surface. But, and this is the most important part, the pore stays open. That one little detail, the fact that it's open to the air, changes everything. Okay, this is probably the biggest myth we need to bust right now. A lot of people think the dark spot is a bunch of trapped dirt. It's not. The darkness is actually from a chemical reaction called oxidation. It's the exact same thing that happens when you slice an apple and leave it on the counter for a bit. It turns brown. Same deal here. And this, right here, just illustrates the difference perfectly. See, on the left, a whitehead is a closed-off system. All that gunk is trapped under a little layer of skin. But with a blackhead on the right, that same mix of oil and dead skin cells is just open to the world. The air hits it, it oxidizes, and boom, it turns dark. So remember, it's not about being dirty, it's about being open. All right, now that we know what we're dealing with, let's talk strategy. Think of this next part as your personal toolkit. We've got 8 different options, everything from simple daily habits to some really powerful treatments you can work into your routine. Okay. First up, the absolute basics. I know this doesn't sound revolutionary, but it is so important. Washing your face twice a day, and definitely after you work out, stops that oil from building up in the first place. And please, whatever you do not skip the sunscreen. Just make sure you grab an oil-free one so you're protecting your skin without adding anything that could clog your pores. Now, if you're looking for something gentle to add to the mix, masks are a fantastic choice. Think of a clay mask like a little vacuum for your face. It just gently draws out that extra oil. Charcoal masks kind of work like a magnet, helping to pull out some of those deeper impurities. Ah, the pore strip. We've all been there, right? That strangely satisfying feeling of ripping one off. And yeah, they do pull out some of the gunk, temporarily. But the downside is they can be pretty harsh on your skin, and they do absolutely zero to stop that blackhead from just coming right back. So it's a quick fix, but it's not a real solution. Okay, time to level up a little bit. Instead of physically scrubbing your face, which can actually cause more irritation, we're talking about chemical exfoliants. These use gentle acids to basically dissolve the glue that holds dead skin cells together, helping to clear out clogs and stop new ones from even starting. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The key difference here is simple. AHAs, they're water-soluble, so they work great on the surface of your skin to help with texture and glow. But BHAs, and this includes the famous salicylic acid, they're oil-soluble. That's the magic word. It means they can actually travel down into an oily pore and clean it out from the inside. For blackheads, BHA is your absolute best friend. And if you want to get even more targeted, you've got 2 powerhouse options. First, topical retinoids. Think of them like a personal trainer for your skin cells, telling them to speed up their renewal process. This helps them shed properly instead of getting all stuck and clogged up. Then you've got salicylic acid gels, which are like a heat-seeking missile for that gunk, directly dissolving the stuff that's already plugging up the pore. So getting rid of blackheads is one thing, but keeping them away for good, that's the real goal, isn't it? Let's shift our focus from just treating them to a smart, long-term prevention plan. Here are 2 really good pro tips. First, easy does it. It's so tempting to throw a bunch of products at your face, but that can just irritate your skin. And when your skin is irritated, guess what it does? It produces more oil, the exact opposite of what we want. Second, be a little careful with facial self-tanners. The pigment in them can actually settle right into your pores and make your blackheads look even darker. Okay, this next part is critical. We're going to go over the common mistakes that can actually make your blackheads worse, because knowing what not to do is every bit as important as knowing what you should do. This is the ultimate temptation, right? You're leaning into that magnifying mirror, it's just sitting there, and you hear that little voice in your head. Just squeeze it. You can get it out. But should you listen? The answer from pretty much every expert on the planet is a loud, clear, resounding no. Seriously. Do not try to do your own extractions at home. And this slide lays out exactly why. When you try to squeeze at home, you're risking redness, irritation. You could push the clog deeper, cause an infection, or even create a permanent scar. A professional, on the other hand, uses sanitized tools and knows the right technique to get it out safely. It is just not worth the risk to do it yourself. All right, here's another common mistake. A lot of people reach for a classic acne-fighting ingredient, benzoyl peroxide. But when it comes to blackheads, it's just not the right tool for the job. Here's the deal with that. Benzoyl peroxide is amazing for those red, angry, inflamed pimples because it kills the bacteria that causes them. But blackheads, they're not considered inflammatory. They aren't caused by that same bacteria. So while it's not going to hurt you, it's also not really going to help. You're way better off sticking with salicylic acid for this. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. So let's wrap things up by boiling all this down to the most important things you need to remember from this explainer. If you take away anything today, let it be these 3 things. Number 1, understand what you're dealing with. It's oxidation, not dirt. 2, make sure you're using the right tools, especially those oil-soluble exfoliants like BHAs. And number 3, know when to call on the experts. For extractions, always see a professional. So I'll leave you with this thought. Based on everything we just talked about, what's one small, totally doable change you can make to your routine starting today to get yourself one step closer to clearer skin? That's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. Blackheads. You know them, you've probably had them. They're one of the most common skin issues out there, but also one of the most misunderstood. So let's dive right in and get a really clear explanation of what they are, why they pop up, and most importantly, what you can actually do about them. Oh, we've all been there, right? You lean right up to the mirror, you're looking at your nose or your chin, and you see these little dark dots. And that first thought is almost always, is that dirt? Did I just not wash my face well enough? But the truth is, it's actually way more scientific than that. So what are we actually talking about here? Well, the official term is an open comedo. Basically, it's just a hair follicle on your skin that gets clogged up with a mix of excess oil, that's called sebum, and dead skin cells. Now, that word open is the real key here, and we're about to see exactly why that matters so much. Okay, this is a big one. Let's clear up a huge point of confusion. A blackhead is not a pimple. You can see right here, a blackhead is an open bump, it's dark, and it usually doesn't hurt. A pimple, on the other hand, is closed. It's that red, angry, often painful bump that's filled with, well, pus. They're both types of acne, for sure, but they're 2 totally different things. And, if you thought you'd leave these behind in high school, think again. While yeah, they're super common for teenagers thanks to all those hormonal changes, a good 10 to 20% of adults are still dealing with them. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, or even beyond, you are definitely not alone in this. All right, so we've got the what down, but what about the why? How does that core actually get clogged in the first place? Let's get into the simple science behind it all. It really breaks down into a simple 3-step process. First, your oil glands just go into overdrive for whatever reason. Second, all that extra oil mixes with dead skin cells, and together they form this little plug inside a hair follicle. And then step 3, and this is the most important part, because that pore is open to the surface, the gunk inside gets exposed to the air. That causes a chemical reaction called oxidation, and that's what turns the top of the plug dark. And that is the big takeaway here. The black color has absolutely nothing to do with dirt or how clean you are. It's just that oil and skin cell mixture oxidizing. It's just like when you cut an apple open and leave it on the counter and it starts to turn brown. Same exact idea. It's a chemical reaction, not a sign of bad hygiene. Okay, now that we get the science, let's switch gears and talk solutions. It's time to build our treatment toolkit. What actually works to get your skin clear and keep those blackheads from coming back? So when you're walking down that skincare aisle, these are the 3 hero ingredients you want to look for. Salicylic acid is fantastic. It actually gets down inside the pores and dissolves the gunk that causes the clog. Then you have benzoyl peroxide, which is great for dealing with any surface bacteria that might be making things worse. And azelaic acid is a champ at killing microbes and calming down any swelling. And here's another real game changer that's now available over the counter: retinoids. A product like Differin is a great example. Retinoids basically work by speeding up how fast your skin cells turn over. This helps break up the blackheads you already have, and more importantly, it helps stop new plugs from even forming. It's great for prevention. But, what if you've tried all that and you're still not getting the results you want? Well, that's when it's time to call in a professional. A dermatologist can bring out the big guns, things like stronger prescription strength retinoids, maybe even antibiotics, or procedures like microdermabrasion and chemical peels that can make a huge difference. All right, we have to go there. We have to talk about the number one temptation when you see a blackhead staring back at you in the mirror. That overwhelming, all-consuming urge to squeeze it. So, should you do it? The answer from pretty much every expert out there is a hard, resounding no. And this quote really says it all. When you squeeze, you risk pushing all that bacteria and oil even deeper, which can cause way more inflammation and pain. Or worse, you could end up with a permanent scar. It's not worth the risk. Okay, so if squeezing is off the table, what are you supposed to do? What about those really deep, stubborn ones that just seem to hang around forever? You guessed it, this is another job for a professional. A dermatologist or a trained esthetician has this special, sterile tool called a Komodo extractor. It's designed to put perfectly even pressure around the pore to pop out the entire plug cleanly and safely without damaging your skin. That is truly the safest and most effective way to go. So getting rid of blackheads is great, but you know what's even better? Not getting them in the first place. The best defense is a good offense, so let's talk about a clear prevention plan to stay ahead of the game. This is your basic 4-step routine. It's super simple. 1, wash your face every day, but be gentle. 2, don't skip the moisturizer. It sounds weird, but when your skin gets too dry, it can actually produce more oil to compensate. 3, for makeup, look for the word non-comedogenic. That's just a fancy way of saying it won't clog your pores. And of course, always take it off before bed. And 4, the simplest, but maybe the hardest, try to keep your hands off your face. And listen, this is a really important final point. Physically, blackheads are harmless, but their psychological impact? That's very real. It is completely okay and understandable if they make you feel anxious or affect your self-esteem. And if you're feeling that way, please don't hesitate to talk to your doctor about it. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. After everything we've talked about, from ingredients to not squeezing, what is one small, new habit you can start today to work towards clearer skin? Don't try to do everything at once. Just pick one thing, because that's where real, lasting change always begins.